make welcome Lincoln and the Liberty Strings.
Our next tune, which propelled Lincoln to office, written by a family in Massachusetts in 1861, to the tune of Roz in the Bowl, and they changed its name to Lincoln and Liberty, which brought him into office. The song is so popular. President of the United States. Let's give a big warm welcome to President Abraham Lincoln.
Fellow citizens, ladies, gentlemen, honorable guests, of those 17 battles fought during the Civil War, The most decisive battle fought, not a major victory, but a lost opportunity, was on September 17, 1862 at Antietam. And because of a solemn vow and oath, a covenant I had made, meaning if he would give victory to our forces just fought on the 17th, I'd consider my duty moving forward and freeing those slaves. 5 days later, the 22nd of September, I placed on the table the Emancipation Proclamation. Horace Greeley of the New York Tribune got a hold of that news. He said, "Mr. Lincoln, you've made a terrible mistake." And I said, "I may be a slow walker, but I don't walk backwards." And then, of course, we know what happened the next year, July 1, 2, and 3, at Gettysburg. Over 3 days, 48 to 51,000 people have been killed or wounded, and blood was running down the corn rows. And they said there's got to be something done in honor of all those who have gallantly given their lives on both sides. So I was called upon to give a few closing comments on the dedication of that new National Soldiers Cemetery to be dedicated November the 19th, 1863. So the morning of the 18th, I left Washington to travel to Gettysburg. And when I got there, actually on the train, it was too noisy and too crowded for me really to complete my speech. Arrived in Gettysburg, and there was many of your ancestors and relatives of you, the remains of their fallen comrades. And amongst them was the keynote speaker, Mr. Edward Evart. Finished my speech the next morning. I rode out to the top of Seminary Ridge, and there was all them people milling around and restless like maybe many of you people feel today. Now let me ask you, how many have been to Gettysburg? Would you raise your hand? Yes, a number. Well, suppose for a moment, would you, for those who are not there, we're all standing on the top of that dirt road at the top of Seminary Ridge. And everywhere we look, there's evidence of death. From where I sat on the wooden platform, you can look out and see those coffins laying in a silent formation under the trees. By this time of the month, the bodies have been removed. The ground was ripped up where the lead balls had missed their target. Way in the distance, as far as you could see, were skeleton of horses. And the stench, and all you could hear was the band music waving in the wind. Now, half an hour before Mr. Evart arrived, I sort of wandered over the battlefield to arrange my thoughts. And I didn't know what to say. The North up here was saying, why did it happen? And the South was saying down there, why did they not leave us alone? But then I thought to myself, what is honor? Is honor and integrity worth giving up your lives? It used to be honor was everything. Is it important today? You and your conscience must answer that. And then while Mr. Evart was giving his 2-hour speech, I thought to myself, maybe without slavery, this rebellion would have never happened. And without slavery, it could not continue. And the buying or selling of people is never right. And then when Mr. Evart completed his speech, I stepped up behind the speaker stand. And as I see the tears coming down the cheeks because of the loved ones they had lost, my mind back when I, too, lost my mother at a very early age, but yet seeing how we develop character out of what we struggle much. My inspiration enabled me to pen those words in your book yet today, 80. And 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth upon this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated the proposition that all men are created equal. But now we're engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield to that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave of their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men living and dead who struggle here are consecrated and far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little know. How long remember what we say here. And folks, they can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather to be dedicated right here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It's rather for us folks to be here dedicated, yes, this afternoon to the great task. Remain before us that from these honored dead, we take increased devotion that cause for which they gave of their last full measure of devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from this earth. In closing, when I left Springfield to travel to Washington to become your 16th president on the back end of that caboose as that locomotive was ready to pull out, I said, I now leave not knowing when or whether ever I may return with a task before me greater than that which rested upon George Washington. I said, without the assistance of that divine being, I cannot succeed. But with his assistance, I cannot fail. And trusting in him who will go with me and remain with you and be everywhere for good, let us confidently hope that all will yet be well. And to his care commending you, as I hope you will commend me in your prayers, I bid you an affectionate farewell. So I want to thank you all for a magnificent welcome, and I bid you an affectionate farewell.